Batman and Robin is one of the most gloriously shitty movies of all time, but it's also one of the most gloriously hilarious movies of all time. So how exactly did this come to be? Why exactly is this travesty so popular years later? Well, there's a number of different reasons I could possibly think off the top of my head, but these are the few that come to mind first. Now obviously Batman has been through generations and generations and decades of reinvention. Obviously the 1989 Batman is not the first time we saw Batman on the big screen. The first time we saw him in fact was actually the 1966 movie, starring Adam West and Burt Ward, which was in fact a parody of 1940s serials. A lot of people think of it as a joke in the modern day and age, and to be fair, you probably are right about that. It hasn't really aged well, but I will admit it is fun to watch, and of course, it's hilarious. Like, how often do you get to say that you saw Batman punching a fucking shark? The 1989 Batman movie, on the other hand, starring Michael Keaton and directed by then newcomer Tim Burton, was the first time that Batman had truly been taken seriously by the public. It was the first time that we actually got to see a darker side of Batman in live action. Now, the news that Michael Keaton was cast as Bruce Wayne was not exactly the most well received by fans, and he even received a number of death threats from fans. However, once people actually went and saw the movie and saw his performance and shut the fuck up about how allegedly shitty the casting was, they actually found out that he was totally fit for the role and that this was probably one of the best versions of Batman we'll ever see yet. Who can remember the first time that we see him on screen and he says the words plainly, "I'm Batman." It also spawned one of the first live-action versions of the Joker, played by Jack Nicholson. Now, as you could probably expect, this was definitely a casting dream come true, because as we all know, Jack Nicholson, if anyone can play the role, it's him. And he gave a rather unique take on the character. I mean, it was definitely detectably Jack Nicholson, but at the same time, there were classic moments of the Joker there. I mean, who else? How could you not love his punchline?
Tell me something, my friend. You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight?
The sequel, also directed by Tim Burton and starring Michael Keaton, titled Batman Returns, came a few years later. Now, it kept all the dark elements of the first movie, although, according to who you may ask, it might be a little too dark. It was the first time that we saw truly serious representations of Selina Kyle, also known as Catwoman, and Oswald Cobblepot, also known as the Penguin. Now, Danny DeVito gave a great performance as the Penguin, and Michelle Pfeiffer is historical for her performance as Catwoman.
How could you? I'm a woman.
But the film is also very divisive between fans of the first movie and the movie-going public, as well as Batman fans in general. A lot of people were happy to see the darker sides of characters like the Penguin and Catwoman, but a lot of people thought that the film was a bit too nihilistic and depressing for their tastes. The movie was a success, although not on the same level as the 1989 Batman. Because of this, Tim Burton was not asked back for the next movie. So for the next movie, what did they do? Well, they got Joel Schumacher. They got him to keep a more kid-friendly tone, although I will say it still is a pretty dark film. And also, Michael Keaton didn't return to the role of Batman as the role no longer interested him. According to an interview in 2015, the only reason he returned for Batman Returns was so that he could afford a house that he really wanted to buy. So this time they got Val Kilmer. We also got to see Chris O'Donnell step up to the role of Robin, and whether or not he gave a good performance is entirely up to you. Putting it that way. We also got to see Edward Nygma, also known as the Riddler, played by Jim Carrey, who gave an absolutely fantastic performance. And let's also not forget to mention Harvey Dent, played by Tommy Lee Jones, who gives an absolutely fantastic performance as well, and is often seen by even people who hate the movie as one of the best things about it. Now, as far as the movie itself goes, it's either seen as one of the very best or one of the very worst, sometimes even the very worst of the Batman movies. But even people who think it's the very worst don't deny that it does have some good things about it. The soundtrack, for one, is absolutely fantastic. I mean, you have Kiss from a Rose by Seal, and you also have what a lot of people see as U2's best song, Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me. And then you arrive at Batman and Robin. Yeah. Now, because Joel Schumacher and Val Kilmer didn't get along on the set of Batman Forever, he was not asked to return for the movie that came after, so instead we got George Clooney.
Hi, Freeze. I'm Batman.
Yeah, that's right. George Clooney. Yeah, that George Clooney. Now, one of the things I will say about Batman Forever is that although I actually think it's a really good movie, I know, sue me, I liked Val Kilmer's Batman a lot, but I wasn't too hot on his Bruce Wayne. With Batman and Robin, it's actually the other way around, which is actually kind of funny. One of the few good things about this film is how George Clooney plays Bruce Wayne. Yeah, I don't like his Batman. I think it's kind of fucking stupid that he speaks in his regular voice with, to play Batman.
Head wasn't even on the job. All you could think about was poison ivy.
But in all honesty, when it comes to playing Bruce Wayne, I actually think he nails how the previous films showed his character rather quite well. Now, if I'm being perfectly honest, Batman is one of my favorite characters. I grew up with the character since childbirth, and I've lived to see very many different incarnations of him, live action, comic book, and cartoon-wise. So I will say, when it comes to the live action films, I have really enjoyed pretty much every single Batman movie. I mean, for me, the best films in the series are definitely the Christopher Nolan films. But all bias aside, I gotta say, there hasn't been, at least regardless of the quality, there hasn't been a single Batman film I haven't, in the very least, enjoyed. And don't get me wrong, Batman and Robin is certainly no different. Because it's so fucking shitty that it's absolutely hilarious. I'm actually impressed by how bad this movie is. It is so shitty, in fact, that you can't hate it. It's like everything is wrong with it, and at the same time, you just don't want it any other way. The movie begins pretty much exactly like Batman Forever did. A shot of our two heroes, well, that time it was one hero, this time it's two. A shot of our two heroes putting their costumes on. We get to see lots of close-ups of things, including their bat nipples and their bat asses. Yeah, remember those from Batman Forever? Everyone loved those. They then go to the Batcave and stand in front of the Batmobile. And it's here where we get to hear our first line of dialogue.
I want a car. Chicks dig the car.
Gee, that line sounds rather familiar. I wonder where I've heard it before.
It's the car, right? Chicks love the car.
This is why Superman works alone.
Really, Bruce? Is it why Superman works alone? Superman works alone? I thought he occasionally collaborated with Wonder Woman. Occasionally. I thought he even occasionally, collaborated with you sometimes. Hell, I even thought he heard of something called the fucking Justice League. Another thing I really want to point out about this scene is that it's exactly like Batman Forever. I know I already said that, but to show you how exactly like it is, I decided to do a side-by-side comparison.
dig the car.
you to take a sandwich with
This
you,
is why
sir?
Superman works
I'll
alone.
get driving.
Like, I'm not even joking. Really, the only new thing about this scene is that Robin now has a vehicle himself. Oh, look, what do you know? It's a bike. I want a car, but ooh, a bike sounds good, so I guess I'll take that. Thank you, Alfred. Fuck you! So after this, Batman and Robin are zooming down quite possibly the world's longest underground tunnel. While all of this is happening, they get a call from Commissioner Gordon letting them know that Mr. Freeze has taken over the Gotham Museum of Art. And what do you know? This right here where we get to see Mr. Freeze taking over the Gotham Museum of Art. It's also right here where we get to see just how really fucking stupid the Gotham City Police Department are. Now I know they're basically useless and impractical in their own city, especially with the introduction of Batman. But I mean, come on, that's no excuse for them to be fucking firing at a big hulking Austrian guy with a giant ice gun and slapping him with their guns and padded areas and everything, even though they know they're probably gonna get fucking frozen to death anyway.
The Iceman cometh.
What? Was that an ice pun?
The Iceman cometh.
Yeah, that was an ice pun. And I really hope you guys like terrible ice puns because you have to deal with a fucking whole movie of them.
I'm afraid that my condition has left me cold to your pleas of mercy. Everything freezes. You are not sending me to the cooler.
Mr. Freeze then fires his ice gun at a pyramid-shaped case that's holding a crystal that's supposed to power his suit. Then Batman bursts in through the ceiling window and he is probably the cringiest I'm
Freeze.
Batman ever.
Hi, Freeze. I'm Batman.
Then he completely defies the laws of physics by sliding perfectly down the back tail of a dinosaur, and then Robin bursts in on his bike, leaving a Robin-shaped insignia in the door, even though that would ever work in real life. And look guys, I know this is a superhero movie, but come on, anybody with a brain knows there's absolutely no way a bike could do that. Even if Robin was just like in some weird pose that could leave that insignia, it would still look very sloppy and nowhere near as cleanly and thinly cut as that. Also, for the record, I would also really like to know how the fuck Robin managed to kick the gun all the way up to the head of the statue. I mean, come on, there's no way it would have gone that high up, and look at how it lands on the statue. It's like somebody just lowered the fucking gun onto the head of the statue with a string.
Nice catch.
You break it, you buy it.
Oh fucking don't give me that, Batman. You're in a fucking museum against a homicidal maniac who looks like he was near both a glitter factory and a cocaine factory when it exploded, and all you care about is the fucking vase being broken? For fuck's sakes, you have all this ice around you and the fucking vase is what sets you off? Go fuck yourself, Batman. You're such a fucking terrible hero.
You get the ice, I'll get the Iceman.
Wait, guys, you had absolutely no idea about Mr. Freeze until Commissioner Gordon told you. How did you know to bring fucking ice skates? So for no reason other than the plot requires Batman and Robin to have ice skates, and Mr. Freeze also requires his goons to also have ice skates and ice hockey sticks. They play some ice hockey with the Jewel while more moronic police officers try to hit Mr. Freeze in padded areas.
What killed the dinosaurs?
You know, Mr. Freeze, that's actually a really good question. I was really hoping that you would fill us in on that. Let me guess. Okay, one possibility could be a comet that collided with the Earth or a meteor of some sort. Or it could also be that someone went back in time and placed a nuclear bomb where all the dinosaurs were, or at least 20 nuclear bombs, and then set them all off or something. I don't know. If I continue to make more guesses, I'm probably going to be here all night, so I'll just let you answer that question.
The Ice Age!
Oh. Yeah. Okay, yeah. I guess I should have known. Hey, I thought the Ice Age killed the dinosaurs, not temporarily bring them back to life for one last roar. So after Robin commits another crime against the laws of physics, Mr. Freeze gets into some bulldozer thing that conveniently turns out to be a rocket. Then Batman, quote unquote, drops in. Mr. Freeze's words, not mine.
I was hoping you'd drop in.
And then as it shuts, Robin manages to launch himself onto the door and pull out some Robin grips thing or whatever that attaches him to it, and then it takes off for outer space.
Watch the numbers, Batman, for they are the harbingers of your doom. Can you feel it coming? The ice cold of space. At 30,000 feet, your heart will freeze and beat no more. After you're frozen, your icy tomb will plummet back to Gotham.
Well, Mr. Freeze, you're definitely not wrong about that. I mean, after all, that's why airplanes take safety precautions with their design so that they can prevent that kind of shit from happening to their passengers. But riddle me this, if that's true about your rocket, then can you please describe to me, A, how Robin is perfectly unaffected hanging on to the outside of the rocket, and B, Batman is only affected in the wrists. And look, I know, it's a superhero movie. Don't take it too seriously. Just don't think about it. But when fucking Iron Man of all movies manages to show Iron Man's suit, freezing the closer he gets to space, and this movie just manages to completely, gloss over that, that's really fucking lazy. Right there. Anyway, so Robin bursts in and saves Batman, and Batman bitches about it, and so does Robin.
Who invited you?
I was just hanging around.
I thought you were going to stay in the museum, round up some thugs.
How about nice to see you? Glad you're here to save my life.
And I really hope you also really like bitching, because that's really all that Robin does. Actually, come to think of it, why is Robin even in this movie? He's kind of pointless, to be honest. Like, the only thing he does that's not, running around and saving Gotham City with Batman is pretty much just bitch and moan.
In the circus, the Flying Graysons were a team. We had to trust each person to do his job. That's what being partners is all about. Sometimes counting on someone else is the only way you win. You just can't stand that maybe she wanted me instead of you. I mean, that's your idea of friendship, isn't it, Bruce? It's your house, it's your rules. it's your way or the highway. It's Batman and Robin, not Robin and Batman. And I'm yeah, like hell you do.
Dick, don't push me right now.
For what? No one can capture Ivy with a big bad bat? Yeah, right. You just want it for yourself, don't you? Look, here's what I know. He loves me and not you, and it's driving you crazy. That's why you stopped us from kissing, because if you can't have her, no one can. Look, I want a Robin signal in the sky, all right? I'm tired of living in your shadow. All that ends right now.
Like, I'm not even joking. You could basically just replace all his dialogue in the film with and nothing would be different. Anyway, so then Batman plants a bomb on the inside of the rocket so that it can explode in the air and therefore not hit Gotham and turn it into a crater. Again, Batman's words, not mine.
We have to blow up this rocket before it turns Gotham into a crater.
And then Batman and Robin escape the rocket and use the doors as surfboards to surf all the way down towards Gotham City. You know something, this scene is so 90s that if I hadn't known better, I would have thought that Robin would probably have shouted Cowabunga as he glided down. Oh, wait, he did. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I should really stop underestimating this movie's stupidity. Mr. Freeze then aims for a furnace after he escapes Batman's grip of his wings and freezes it and falls into the furnace, and somehow just firing the freeze gun at the furnace was enough to turn the whole building into a snow cave. Robin then jumps towards Mr. Freeze, and Mr. Freeze freezes him in quite possibly the most hilarious pose ever. Like, I'm not even joking. If I were to get frozen, I would probably never want to make that pose. Mr. Freeze then makes another absolutely horrible ice punch.
Stay cool, bird boy.
And as his bulldozer thing crashes into the building. Again, yet another convenience, because this movie requires a lot of them. It's basically this movie's lifeblood at this point.
Can you be cold, Batman? You have 11 minutes to thaw the bird. What will you do? Chase the villain or save the boy? Your emotions make you weak. That's why this day's mine.
What?
I'll kill you next time.
What?
So why didn't you just kill him right then and there? You know, like a normal villain. So then Batman thaws Robin by throwing him into a conveniently placed pit of warm water. Then he heats up the water by firing Robin's laser into it. And then right after that, we go to a fortress on the top of the hill in the South American jungle. A location so cliche that if I hadn't known better, I would have thought that right about now we're about to see a bolt of lightning hit the side of the building. Oh god damn it, I really gotta stop giving this Joel Schumacher guy ideas. It is right here where we meet Pamela Isley, a botanist who is trying to create a new plant-animal hybrid that can cause plants to act like rattlesnakes and revolt against nature or something like that.
Rats! My experiment to make the dendronium orchid and the South American rattlesnake have failed again. But I still have high hopes for the animal-plant crossbreedings. If I can only find the correct dose of venom, these plants will be able to fight back like animals. I will have given Flora a chance against the thoughtless ravages of man.
Pamela then goes into another room and finds a man being experimented on, and by being experimented on I mean having venom and super soldier serum injected into his brain. Then we get to watch an absolutely hilarious scene of his body parts being inflated like balloons, and then he becomes Bane. Yes, that Bane, the same Bane who would actually be, the same Bane who would actually become awesome in a later movie.
Pull that off, will you die?
It would be extremely painful.
You're a big guy.
For you.
Then we meet this mad scientist stereotype who finds out that someone knows about his work and he can't have that, so he pushes her into some pit that's kind of like quicksand or whatever, and dumps a whole bunch of chemicals on her. Then we go back to the Batcave where we are given the obligatory info dump on the film's main villain, Mr. Freeze.
Dr. Victor Fries, two-time Olympic decathlete and Nobel Prize winner for molecular biology. After his wife contracted a rare disease, McGregor syndrome, he hoped to freeze her in a cryogenic sleep until he could find a cure. Now...
What?
That's gotta hurt.
How would it hurt? He just fell into a fucking pit of water, Robin.
That liquid is 50 below. He survived somehow. Cryo solution mutated his body.
What happened to his wife?
Nobody knows for sure. She's presumed dead. Freeze needs extreme cold to survive. His cryosuit uses diamond-enhanced lasers to keep him at 0 degrees.
Then Robin bitches again.
Fine, see? Me, here, alive? How are we supposed to work together if you won't trust me?
And Alfred absolutely agrees with him for some reason or another.
Perhaps the truth is, you really don't trust anyone.
Jesus Henry Christ, if I hadn't known better, I would have thought this movie was not just a movie, but basically a guidebook for cliches. How to squeeze as many cliches as you can into 20 minutes of a 2-hour movie. No, seriously, I imagine this film would sell a ton of units for people who are desperate to squeeze out that hero film. So it's here all of a sudden where we go to Mr. Freeze's special hideout lair in some Snowy Cones ice cream company, where instead of doing anything remotely evil, he makes his henchmen sing along to the Snowmeister song for absolutely no reason at all.
Turns to snow in my clutch. Come on, sing! Louder, come on, sing, sing, sing! Come on! Yes, come on, louder!
Breezy.
Okay, what the fuck? Is he actually puffing on a cigar? So this guy, as established in a previous scene where we find out about his origins, needs negative temperatures to survive, and yet he's fucking puffing on a cigar? Keep in mind, this was way back in the 1990s before vaping was invented. How the fuck do his lungs survive that? You know what? Fuck this movie. This movie's not even half an hour in, and I'm already tired of this fucking shit. You know what? Fuck this. Fuck this. Fuck this. Fuck you, Joel Schumacher, and fuck you, Warner Brothers, for ever laying this fucking shit out of the fucking WB lot. Fuck you! Guys, I'm sorry. That was bad. That was very unprofessional of me. I should know better. I had a bit of a word with my anger management therapist prior to recording all the stuff for this review, and we both agreed that I would never burst out into anger or angry rants before making any recordings, and I broke his promise. So I'll have you know that I informed my anger management therapist, and we're working on a plan that will definitely keep me more tied to our agreement. Again, I'm so sorry for anyone who was offended. Anyway, so it's here where we finally see Mr. Freeze put the diamond into his suit.
And that means the intended work will complete. I will freeze the city. Then I will adapt.
Except then we find out that his suit takes little diamonds too.
Exhausted by power.
So what was special about that one big diamond? Like, if your suit can take little diamonds, can't you just steal a whole bunch of little diamonds and stuff them into your suit? I don't get it. Anyways, so then we finally go to see his wife, which is in some cryogenic sleep, or so I'm told. I mean, to me it just looks like she's submerged in some sort of a